Mitchell Street is a walkable commercial street lined with shops, churches, bakeries, dime stores, now dollar stores. It used to be the downtown of Polish Milwaukee. Every 2 weeks I'd go there with my father so he could cash his paycheck. Okay. Oh. All right, all right. Anyways, where was I? I loved going into the bank with my dad, First Wisconsin National Bank. I had a savings account with my own green passport and would sometimes make deposits on those trips. And this was the 80s, so there was high inflation and also high interest rates. Sometimes I would just want to get the balance updated on my passbook, and the teller would place my passbook on some kind of printer, and then out would spit the official new balance and the interest earned. It was so exciting. I was earning money by doing nothing. The reason I had a savings account was all my father's doing. He was, let's just say, frugal, and still is. Savings was prioritized, and so was self-reliance. I knew from a young age the cost of my college education would come from me. Everything I would eventually retire on would have to come from me, and there would be no inheritance or gifts to fall back on. Now, my family did not have a lot, but we definitely had enough. My parents owned their own home, and everything was always seemed to be covered. But there was always disputes about money. That's the number one thing couples argue about after all. Besides our offering envelopes each Sunday, charitable giving was not something even on my family's radar outside of Sunday mornings. So being generous doesn't necessarily come easy to me. I've come to monetize almost everything. Everything is transactional, like depositing dollars and seeing that interest on your bank account. You give money, you get something in return. When I joined the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee, I was asked to pledge for the first time. Even that became transactional because, well, I never wanted to miss a Sunday because I wanted to get my money's worth. I aim to be generous with my time and talents and treasure, and I may give willingly to PBS and NCPR, but only when I'm asked. Yet I am slowly realizing the joy of generosity, because after all, life itself is a gift. The more we give, the more we let go of. And it is not just giving money to worthy causes, and it's not just volunteering. We can aim to speak generously, give out words of affirmation and praise generously, encourage each other in person or in texts, cards, or emails. We can act generously when we treat all people as if they are gods in drag, to paraphrase Ram Dass. A generous spirit is one that is fearless and free and is willing to share from its own vulnerable spiritual depths. Now, I wonder about the future of organized religions and other community organizations that depend on generous members and volunteers. Older generations tend to have more wealth. And that is not to say that there are not younger individuals who are wealthy, but the baby boomers, out of sheer numbers, have a lot more wealth as a generation than younger generations. The boomers have had less of the debt that I have had in my generation and millennials. And in the coming years, there will be a big transfer of wealth from the boomer generation to younger generations. And I'm not sure how that will all play out. This congregation of almost 200 years has had its share of bake sales, fundraisers, handshakes, hugs. And those who came before us left us more than a granite facade, slate roofs, bricks, and oak wainscotings. Those who came before us, they gave to us in an awakened awareness. They gave to us not knowing us. That's pretty high up on Moses' level of charity. Prior generations gave us a legacy of generosity. For sure, some gave unwillingly, some willingly, some without asking, some with asking. But in my study and practice of religion, I see generosity as a common teaching among the world's religions. It is obvious for the practical purpose of having professional clergy like myself, ministries and buildings, that generosity is needed. Now, in some religions, you have the moral obligation to give 10% of your income. And I know that some of you do that, and I am grateful for that. Thank you. There is also the liberal religious tithe, which you may hear of in fall canvas drives. It's you give 5% to your faith community, make it your number one priority, but then you give 5% to other causes and organizations that you value. Generosity is a challenge to our monetized transactional ways, because it is not transactional. With generosity, there is no expected passport interest of return. We have generously been given much beyond the granite and the oak. Decades ago, this congregation had the foresight and vision to create an endowment. They believed in the future generations and that something should outlast themselves. This congregation sold its parsonage, and with that sale and other contributions started an endowment. It is now invested in the UUA's Common Endowment Fund, which is committed to socially responsible investing. Our endowment is in the neighborhood of $390,000, and we pull a small percentage of that each year for our annual budget. It also gives us a financial cushion if something tragic were to happen. But for a congregation of this age, the endowment is quite new and, in fact, on the small side. One way to be generous is planned giving. Please consider this congregation in your will as a beneficiary on your retirement accounts or by including it in a trust. This is one way to transfer generational wealth into something you believe in, the future of our faith. We have called this group of people who have committed to doing this the Olympia Brown Society, to honor the first fully ordained female minister and graduate of St. Lawrence Theological School. But it is really a circle of people who are generous, who are visionary, who want Unitarian Universalism to thrive in the North Country long after they are gone. It is a circle of generosity. Thank you to those who are already in this circle of giving. Numerous people have done this over the years, and it has helped us to thrive. Last year, we had multiple donations come from people who had recently died, and that made a difficult budget year much, much easier. Of course, we are all different financially and have obligations to our own futures and to our families. But we should be reminded that what we spend our money on says a lot about who we are as a people, and that there are many levels to being generous. Now, what I wish for all of us is that we grow in the spirit of generosity, that we go to the next level of charity wherever we are at. If you only give grudgingly, start giving willfully with joy. If you only give when you're asked, start giving when you're not asked. Instead of giving what is easy, give what is more difficult. Give to people or organizations that don't know you. Give anonymously. Join the circle of generosity and give to this congregation a self-sufficient future. And you can get excited about giving, much like a little kid on Mitchell Street got excited about seeing interest. Being generous is a spiritual value, and generosity goes beyond giving money. Giving compliments and praises to each other generously. Treat each other with a spirit of generosity. And take the next movement on your progression of giving, seeing that living out our generosity goes beyond transactional living. Blessed are they who come here to minister as much as to be ministered to. Blessed are those who support this congregation and other charitable organizations and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving. Blessed are those who give of themselves to causes that positively affect the next generation. Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who do the simple duties and stay to the end. Blessed are those who know that the work of this congregation is the transformation of people. Blessed are they who have a generous vision of beloved community. Blessed are they who have given up living transactionally and live generously. Amen, and blessed be.